CVMSDC, also known as the Council, is an economic growth engine for minority business owners and serves as an advocacy group to help minority business enterprises with certification, development, connection, and advocacy. While you may be familiar with the great work that CVMSDC does, you might not know the unique entrepreneurship journey of the current president and chief engagement officer, Dominique Simpson-Milton. She's joining me today to share her story. Dominique, thanks for joining us.
To be here to tell the story, because you're the first to hear the story publicly.
Well, that's good. I think it's very important because a lot of times associations are led by a lot of great people, but many of them have a professional background in managing associations. They're not necessarily entrepreneurs or have the journey of entrepreneurship to really understand what it takes to run a business, grow a business, and build a business. You do. Let's get started. Pick up wherever you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason why I haven't told my story before is because it wasn't gritty enough, right? It wasn't one of those stories where you pick yourself up off your bootstraps and you had the success story afterward, right?
Slept in your car.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't do all of that stuff, But I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. But I'm rooted with a family in entrepreneurship, and my grandparents, my grandmother wasn't a college graduate, but my grandfather was. So I am third generation college graduate, fourth generation landowner, fourth generation entrepreneur, and third generation going to college, right? My kids are now fourth generation going to college. And that's not normal, right? That's just rare. But what it does is it sets you up to help change the wealth gap. And so my foundation is in entrepreneurship. Both of my grandparents raised me. My grandfather went to Fisk, graduated in 1932. My grandmother was a high school graduate, but she was just an ultimate businesswoman. She was the first to have a bed and breakfast on the waterfront in Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, wow.
And so I grew up in the real estate business. We had rental property, and I still run that business to this day. So aside from what I do at CVMSDC, I am a real estate person. I invest in real estate, but I also run our family business that is now my kids four generations old.
Now, you took the helm in 2018, is that correct?
2018 as president, that's correct.
And you were already with the association for people that maybe don't know that.
Absolutely. So my introduction to this organization came when Leah Brown, she started A10 Clinical, and she asked me to come on board as a new business development person, because that's my specialty is new business development. Right? So she asked me to come on board to help her. So we built up A10, took it from $0 into the millions of dollars in a very short period of time because of this organization. This organization helped us to catapult our business. So I became engaged with, at that time, it was the Carolinas Minority Supply Development Council. And you had Virginia separately, and then they merged together, right? So learned about the organization, really helped us to catapult our business. Before that, I was in corporate America for 20 years. So I understand the corporate side, I understand the MBE side. But I joined the organization after, we resolved that business. I joined the organization underneath the president as a corporate director. And then 2 years later, ascended to be the president of this organization. So, I always believe everything you do in life prepares you for where you are. And having that understanding of the corporate side and then the MBE side, and then still walking as an MBE myself, has really prepared me to be able to help both audiences.
Well, and I think what's really important here is this also a learning scenario where you've never stopped learning in that process.
Absolutely.
So you talked about college, but I don't want you to sell yourself short. You also have an MBA.
Yes.
In marketing, and have done a lot of work in terms of training within leadership, supply chain, entrepreneurship. What role has kind of education been in shaping your viewpoint of leadership within CVMSDC?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm passionate about education because education is the number one controllable factor that can change your destiny, right? So I have my undergrad from Spelman, proud HBCU grad of Spelman College. 2 daughters graduated from Spelman. My son graduated from College of Charleston. Then I went on to get my master's at Penn State. Now, when I got my master's at Penn State, it was because of affirmative action. They paid me to come and get my master's. There was a whole program where they gave me a complete scholarship, gave me a stipend to be there. Don't know if I would have been able to do that if I didn't have that, right? So that affirmative action clicked in and really helped me to get my master's in business administration. Then after that, I started a fast track program with GTE, and I was brought in from a marketing perspective to solve various problems throughout the company in different geographic areas. And then after that, I did various startup businesses within inside of GTE. So I've always been entrepreneurial in my work, right? So did that, and now I'm working on my doctorate in business administration, which is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, Cory, the hardest thing.
No, I gotta, why? You have 35 years of history. You've had successful businesses. You're running this organization and continuing to grow it. What makes you go, you know what? Let me add one more thing to my plate.
Yeah, good question. It's just like businesses. I tell businesses all the time, if you're successful, you still need to pull back, look at your business from a different lens, and figure out how do you continuously improve so you don't become the blockbuster, right? Blockbuster was not looking both ways, right? And they got their lunch eaten, right? So business owners need to stop, slow down, and work on their business and have other consultants to help them look at their business. Same thing as an individual. I am an expert in business development, understand entrepreneurship, understand the corporate side, but how do I develop Dominique, right? How do I become the best me so that I can help others? So my specialty is innovation and entrepreneurship and supply chain in the doctoral program.
Well, that seems like a very symbiotic scenario there. How interesting is it, because I have heard you share parts of your story different times, how interesting is it to be working with, from a corporate side, from a corporate sponsorship side, several of the companies that you were affiliated with during your MBE journey? You
were listening. No, when I was in MBE, Altria was my first customer.
Okay. Yep.
You know, we were knocking on doors, trying to get contracts and trying to figure out, you know, how we were going to make our way. And Altria, Connie Smith was there. And Altria, I remember the day I met her, she opened the door, she gave us an opportunity to be my first customer. And then from there, it just grew and grew and grew. But it's like full circle. And I always tell people, you never know who's going to be your boss. Yeah. You never know who you're going to work for. So you never burn bridges, right? And you always act with a helping hand, always act with, how can I pay it forward? You know, some people believe that if there's a pie and you take a piece of that pie out, the pie gets smaller. I believe the pie gets bigger and bigger because you're helping other people. So empowering myself to be able to help other people and working now with those corporations that have helped us, GSK, Amgen, Altria, they all helped us, Merck, they all helped us to grow A10 Clinical.
Well, I'm curious as to, and I asked this a little while ago, kind of a variation of it, but how is that background, that unique background, understanding what it's like to go after bids, to try to get those doors open, to try to market your business, fulfill customers, all those things that go in sales, marketing, operations. How does that shape the decisions you make now as a leader of the association?
It helps me as a consultant. You know, I have this open door policy where a business owner can get on my calendar through Calendly and call me and spend 30 minutes with me to understand what they need to be doing with their business, right? Okay. So it helps me understand from a corporate perspective what the corporations are looking for, from an MBE perspective. You know, when you fill out an application and go into a portal, you know, what's involved in that? When you fill out the 8A application, how difficult is it? I understand all those things, right? And having that understanding, I can consult with them better to help them grow their business.
Wow. Any last things? What did we leave out? We talked about education. We talked about this unique background, really having been an MBE, really literally walked in the shoes of the people that you're working with every day to advocate on behalf of. Any last things you want people to know who maybe weren't familiar with this side of Dominique?
Yeah, I would say entrepreneurship is in my blood. When I was a young child, my grandmother would bake brownies, and I put them on my bicycle, and I go to the basketball courts and sell them. I sold water from the side of our house. And my mother said to me, "Did you put Kool-Aid in that?" And I said, "They just drank it like it was," right? But who knew that people would be buying water like they're buying it now? Who knew that the business my grandmother started when she was a B&B owner would now be a big thing, Airbnb, right? Yes. So my advice to folks is, if you have ideas, don't make little of them, right? And don't let somebody else shoot your ideas down. Take your ideas and build on them, because you never know when you could be the next Airbnb, the next, Dasani water company. Right. You just don't know, right? And so as you look at your business, don't stray far from your natural talents and your natural abilities. Go with what you know, go with what's in your spirit, and then grow from there. But always, always, always seek consultation. Don't be so big that you can't be coachable, and your business can grow. And then, of course, I must add in with join an advocacy group like CVMSDC, because you can only do but so much. But when you join these groups like our group, we can help you to grow.
Wow. Ooh, powerful stuff. We're going to leave it there. I want to thank you for taking the time to share that message. And I also want to thank you for the work that you're doing with the CVMSDC.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your voice.
My pleasure.
All right.